Hello everyone, welcome to the live stream. For those of you watching this tomorrow on YouTube, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Hello everyone. Right now we are going to be using this page as I mentioned the other day in the previous stream or on the video on Monday. We're going to be practicing a little bit for Fort Wayne. We're going to be practicing 3 decks tonight, so Night March, Trevenant, and Turbo Darkrai. So this is a list that I've ended up coming up with in order to showcase. It might not be the absolute best list ever, but I think it's pretty solid. And yeah, so let's review the deck list really quickly. Then I'll move on to answering a few questions in the chat whilst we find a couple of matches, shall we? So starting off, we have 2 Marshadow GX. Now Marshadow GX is a new addition to the Night March decks. Shadow Hunt allows you to copy the attack of any basic Pokemon in your discard pile. The other attacks are completely irrelevant, of course. However, the idea behind using Marshadow is you get a much higher HP Night Marcher, right? You will always have Night Marchers in the discard pile, such as Joltik, such as Pumpkaboo, and such as Lampent. You cannot strictly copy Lampent, but just 1 copy of Joltik in the discard pile means you'll be able to use Night March at any time you want, dealing 20 damage times the number of Pokemon in your discard pile. So that's the main reason to include Marshadow. You also have 1 Mew in order to have just a little bit extra of HP. And if we were running basic energies, we would be able to attack for a single energy thanks to Dimensional Volley. But we're actually not. So it's just an extra way to attack, and just it has that little bit of extra HP, different weakness than Pumpkaboo as well, which should be useful. The 1 Turret GX is to try and combat Seismitoad decks, which do cause you a big headache. However, the Mad Bull GX attack is a really big threat to them. So you have that as an option, and then we have 2 Shaymin EX for draw in order to dig through our decks as deep as possible. So yeah, those are the Pokemon. Then we only have 4 double colorless energy. Those are the main energy we're going to use, the only energy we are going to use. And then we have, as far as our supporters go, we have 4 Sycamore, 1 N, 1 Teammate, the split between Lysander and Guzma, and 1 Hex Maniac and 1 AC. Now I chose AC over Acerola just because it doesn't force you to have the damage on the Pokemon. You really probably don't want to recycle your attackers or heal them off, because even Marshadow has very low HP. But you might want to reuse Shaymin on the bench. You might want to pick up the Shaymin to prevent your opponent from targeting it, and you don't want to have to wait until it has a damage counter or more, right? Then as far as item cards go, we have Battle Compressor, which is what makes this deck flow really well. You get to discard your Night Marchers and increase your damage output. Then we have for Ultra Ball, which also discard cards. We have Computer Search as our A-Spec of choice. It's been a very long time since I've used an A-Spec at an actual tournament, so it'll be fun to use one in Fort Wayne. And then we have our 4 VS Seekers as well. We have 4 Puzzle of Time to use any cards we want, because this deck thins out your deck really quickly. Playing Puzzle of Time to get back energy, to get back an attacker, to get back the Computer Search. It's really good. 2 Dimension Valley in order to be able to attack with Pumpkaboo without committing 2 double colorless energy. And then we have Rescue Stretcher, Special Charge to recover, Trainer's Mail in order to dig deeper in our deck, Field Blower, Escape Rope for utility, and finally we have a split of Choice Band and Fighting Fury Belt. Both have their uses, both are really good. You can't fit more than 2 total of damage increasing cards, so I figured a 1-1 split could be very good. And with this in mind, let's jump into the ladder and see how we do, right? So we're gonna go through Night March, then we're gonna have Trevenant. Afterwards, we're gonna have Turbo Dark, and those will be the decks of the stream. If you're watching this on YouTube, you get to watch Night March today, you get to watch Trevenant tomorrow, and then Turbo Dark on Thursday. And all of this is to help me prepare for Fort Wayne Regional. Expanded will now be a very big part of the road to TCG Worlds 2018. There are quite a few surprises in store for everyone, and we are actually we have reached 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever you are, if you're subscribed, thank you so much. It really, really, really means the world to me that you are. And yeah, we start off with Pumpkaboo, we start off with Compressor and Ultra Volt, so things can flow really quickly. And Jardim 11, what's the game plan against a well-placed Jolteon? There is no Ranger, that is correct. And the thing is, Jolteon is such a fringe card. There aren't any real meta decks that you would expect that play Jolteon. So, I mean, Jolteon is a big worry, yes, but there's nothing that's a top deck that plays the Jolteon. So it's not something you should worry about. I mean, there are always counter to your decks, right? There's Karen, there's Oricorio, there's Seismitoad, there's Trevenant, there's Jolteon. But you should be worrying about all the others before Jolteon. And thank you for the congrats on 10,000. Okay, so I'm actually gonna attach the energy to the Mew, and I'm going to play the Escape Rope just because Mew has free retreats. Then I'm going to discard all 3 Lampent. There is an argument that discarding the Joltik could be good here, but I'm sure we'll have more opportunities to do so further in the match. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and discard it, just so that we make sure we have access to Night March through Marshadow as well, especially because we're apparently up against a Porygon deck, which I'm not exactly sure what it does, so might as well ensure. And then we drew the other Val Compressor, so we can actually discard the Pumpkaboos, discard the Lampent. Probably won't be needing Taurus, but I'd rather just maximize our damage outputs. And yes, today I will be playing Turbo Dark, don't worry. Who would win Charizard or Tablemon? Hopefully Tablemon, even though it could be weak to fire. And yeah guys, it's a late stream for sure. I was planning on doing it earlier, but I didn't have the time. Okay, so I'm gonna keep the Dimensional Valley so that I can copy the Night March attack properly, but I'm not gonna play it just yet. I'm just gonna pass for now. I'm just going to pass for now. And yeah, we see a Dive Ball, okay. So I really have no clue what my opponent is playing. I really, really, really have absolutely no clue. And Gromsky, thank you for the follow. You're the first follower of the night. Should open stream labels. And okay, so Milotic Porygon deck. Interesting. Now, is the stream laggy for anyone? No, right? Is the stream working well for you guys? Okay, so we see a Pikachu as well. Oh, this is gonna be like an infinite paralysis deck out deck, I think. Oh my. And thank you so much, Tabletop Village, for the host. Really appreciate it. And okay, so my opponent decides not to try playing the game. I would have actually been a little worried about the constant paralysis, but we do have Cosma, so it's actually not that big a deal, I guess. Whilst we search for opponent, I'm gonna share the the post on social media so that people can come join. Okay, so wow, this hand is something special for sure. We need to top the Sycamore urgently. Thank you guys for letting me know. And yeah, okay, so hopefully we get a good game going here. Hopefully we get a good game going. My opponent is choosing their bench. I do want to draw the two mulligans, and there's a Sycamore, so we don't know what we're up against, so I'm not gonna bench the Taurus. We do see an Eevee. Espeon GX could definitely be problematic, and now of course I'm wishing I had started with the Pumpkaboo instead of the Joltik. And we see another immediate concession, so really weird that this is happening. But don't worry guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll get some good games in for sure. Yeah, the Pokemon in-game client, I mean, I think you play so many games in the Pokemon game client that it's not that they have a bad shuffling system, it's probably better than shuffling in real life. And like, it's also easier to remember the times where you get atrocious hands, as opposed to the times where you get a decent hand and the games play out normally. Okay, so do I want to start Marshadow here? Or, I mean, we don't know what we're up against so far. I didn't notice the previous screen. I'm gonna open Joltik, but I will bench the Marshadow as well. We see Lunala's leaves and a Sun and Moon deck box. That doesn't give us any information either. It really doesn't give us any information either. But there's a Marshadow. I'm gonna click done. Huh. We see oops. So we're asleep. We see that this is actually Turbo Dark. There's a restoration, so Marshadow just became that much more important. And in a best case scenario, we would actually be able to get a knockout this upcoming turn. We would actually be able to get a knockout here. Okay. Probably, if you're my opponent, you sacrifice the Darkrai GX, not the EX, of course. I don't know how many Hypnotoxic lasers he's using, but we're actually going to feature this deck later on, and I know a lot of people favor different ways to get that special condition going, but I definitely prefer the Hypnotoxic laser. Okay, so we do wake up, so we could actually get also a knockout on the Shaymin, provided we get something going from this Trainer's Mail, which we will. Awesome. So the Ultra Ball will find us. We don't have Tapu Lele. We do not have Lele with us, but we do have Shaymin. So hopefully Shaymin finds us enough resources where we can get going. I'm actually gonna go ahead and play the Escape Rope just so that I can draw an extra card. And I think it would be very difficult. Well, my opponent has 4 energy in play. He will have a 5th, so he's a choice band away, I guess. He's a choice band away from knocking out my Marshadow. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Wow. So we don't get any supporter cards. We don't get any extra draw. I actually have to discard a Joltik instead of a Pumpkaboo. But yeah, we're not in a pretty position. I'm actually gonna discard a Sycamore just so that we can also top deck VS Seekers for the game. And I guess I'll end my turn with a Hex just to prevent him from retreating too easily with a Dark Cloak, Darkrai. But yeah, this is a complicated start for us. Definitely not the super explosive start you would expect from Night March decks. My opponent just draw passes. Looks like we will draw pass as well. He has 5 energy in play, so he's now dealing 140 damage. This will force me to promote the Pumpkaboo. And welcome Senzen21. Promote the Pumpkaboo in order to keep my Marshadow safe. I have 4 Night Marchers, so I still need 1 more to take a knockout on a Darkrai. Thank you. Thank you for the comment on the cool Darkrai deck. Great hand by my opponent. Second Shaymin EX. Okay, and there's an N, so that works for me. That definitely works for me. Thank you to my opponent for actually making it a good match. Well, okay. I wish my opponent would get a knockout here. Well, it seems like he will get a knockout. He might not want to. No, he will go for the knockout. That's fine. That is actually fine. Thank you, Jimmy, for being here. Okay, so Pumpkaboo goes down. We have 5 Night Marchers in the discard pile. Marshadow can knock out the Darkrai EX here. And oof, we find teammates. That's pretty interesting. Teammates, I think, is actually better for us here. I mean, I don't want to VS Seeker, Sycamore, and discard all those resources. So I'm gonna teammates, and I'm going to get the other Marshadow and get another Battle Compressor. And off of that Battle Compressor, I'm going to put more Night Marchers in the discard pile. Definitely the Lampent and the 2 Pumpkaboos, or not, just 1 Pumpkaboo, and I'm gonna put the N in the discard pile as well, just to make sure that I have access to the N later on in the match. And well, I guess I'll find out how many Night Marchers I have in the discard pile. So 7, because I did 280, so 140. So I'm missing 2 in order to get a knockout with a Joltik, because my opponent's plan might be to Hex Maniac, so that I don't have the follow-up Marshadow GX. That might be my opponent's game plan. And yeah, the triple versus Seeker curse, guys. The triple versus Seeker curse. Thank you guys so much for all being here. I know it's very late. I know it's not my usual time. Tomorrow I will be streaming in Spanish, and I will be doing it in the morning. So I hope you guys show up then. And wow, we actually see a Sycamore, not an N, which I'm very surprised, especially considering how big my hand currently is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy. So he's dealing 150 damage exactly. He's dealing 150 damage exactly. Thankfully, we do have the Field Blower to remove the XP share. So my opponent will lose 2 total energy, or well, 1 total energy actually. It's complicated. This is the risk of using Marshadow. You are trading 2 prizes. However, we should still be okay here. I want to take advantage of using Marshadow right now, just because he could Hex and prevent the Marshadow attack. So I'm definitely gonna play this. I'm gonna remove the EXP share. I don't need to remove the Fighting Fury Belt. So I might as well remove the Skyfield to limit his bench. I mean, it doesn't really make a difference. He'll discard a Shaman, that's fine. And then with teammates here, for, okay, so there's 7 Night Marchers, right? 7 Night Marchers. We have 1 in my hand, so I'm gonna get the Battle Compressor. I Compressor and discard the Joltik, and then discard and then discard the discard the Pumpkaboo. I would have enough for Joltik. However, there's also a Choice Band, so finding the Fighting Fury build here seems a little bit more important. I'm gonna discard the Taurus, potentially discarding the Mew as well. What other cards are not useful to me? The Lysander potentially. Maybe the Lysander. Yeah, that seems the least useful card. Because we get a knockout on everything, no matter what. And I'll play the Trench Mail. This is what I was looking for, the Ultra Ball. So now we have 9 total Night Marchers. Now we have 9 total Night Marchers. We have Via Seekers to use either to use teammates, to use Lysander, to use Cosma. We find Computer Search and another Night Marcher. So yeah, we are good to go here, guys. We are good to go. I have tested Volcanion a little bit and expanded. I'll probably feature Volcanion after the Fort Wayne Regional, but I have tested it a little bit and I do like it. I do like the heavy Blacksmith and Kyawu lists that the Japanese players use. I do think Volcanion could show up at the Fort Wayne Regional. Okay, so my opponent thinking very thoroughly. He plays down a Verbank City Gym. He would have loved to find that on the first turn, so he could have taken a knockout on the Joltik. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energy plus another restoration. Potentially that's 7, however he doesn't. Oh no, yeah, he does. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 energy in play plus the 20. That's 160 damage so far. 160 damage. We see an Ultra Ball, discarding another Fire. We see an Yveltal. If we see a Sycamore, we win. If we see an N, we might not win. But we see the Sycamore, so now there's no way we lose this match. My opponent gets a knockout. We teammates for the double colorless and attack with Mew or Joltik and win. If my opponent doesn't get a knockout, Marshadow just takes the knockout. But my opponent did find everything in order to get the knockout. The 3 Via Seekers in her hand ended up being super useful. And wow, actually teammates might not be activated here. Because my Pokemon was not knocked out during my opponent's turn. It was knocked out in between turns. So I'm gonna show this. Via Seeker for teammates, even though I can't use it. I have the Computer Search for the win, but I want to showcase it. See, teammates is not activated because even though my opponent got a knockout, he didn't get the knockout during his turn. So let me just count. There's 10 Night Marchers, so 200 minus 20 damage resistance, right? Yep, so Mew should be enough to get the knockout here. And I should not click Sky Return like I did in the previous stream. Where I was like, yeah, I'll deal 1 billion damage to the Shaman, and I only dealt 30 because I misclicked Sky Return instead of Night March, but there we go. We have 2 Night Marchers priced that could have hurt us in the beginning of the game if we didn't have Marshadow, but thankfully Thankfully we did. So let's find another match with this Night March deck. I think Night March is probably my top choice for the regional, just because I'm still getting used to Expanded. I know Trevenant is going to be popular, so it's a risky play. But if I can dodge the Trevenants, I feel like it could do really well. Hello Juz, hello Blue Flare, Trey, thank you guys so much for being here. I know it's very, very late, but it's also gonna be a shortish stream. So this will be the last game for Night March, then we are going to move on to the Trevenant list, and then we will play a couple of games, then we might actually leave it there. We might save Turbo Darkrai for another day. We'll see. We'll see. Hello, the Pokebros. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being here. And wow, our hand is once again not too great. Teammates is great, but we don't have any other basic. And if our Pokemon gets knocked out in between turns, we might actually be in trouble. Thank you, Sensen. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you have a good night. Okay, so Battle Compressor, Hypnotoxic Laser. This is probably Yveltal. Yveltal Lasers deck. We do see, no, this is Turbo Darkrai still. So yeah, all of the ladder is filled with Turbo Darkrai. We see a Muscle Band, so not Choice Band and not Choice Band and not Fighting Fury Belt. My opponent actually chooses to run Muscle Band. Night March in the night. That is true, Atray. That is true. We might actually end up losing this game on turn 2. We might just end up losing this game. Oh, never mind. On turn 1. On turn 1 we actually lose the match. So this can happen. This is one of the risks of playing a 30 HP basic Pokemon. I think it's very unlikely that this will happen more than once throughout the whole regional, but it happens. Yeah, Sensen, I do have this deck in real life. Why do you ask? I do have this deck built in real life. Okay, so now we're up against a Fighting Psychic deck. Potentially Carbink, Psycard, Lycanroc, all of those. Potentially. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so we mulligan immediately. Looks like my opponent also mulligans. I only mulliganed once. And once again, a supporter-less hand. These hands are just, they're not working out for us. They're really not working out well for us. A Battle Compressor, an Ultra Ball, all those cards would be useful. My opponent actually mulliganed 4 times. And we do see it's a Fighting type deck. However, we don't know what kind of Fighting type deck is. Okay, it's Lycanroc. And we're seeing Muscle Band, Choice Bands and Float Stones, but no Focus Sash. So that's really, really interesting. And we get a victory. Okay, so the ladder is just not great today. The ladder is definitely not cooperating with us today. That's the 5th game we've played today in under half an hour. The 5th game we've played under half an hour. And Pink Ribbons, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Okay. So we start off with Taurus. So we know at least we will survive the first turn. And we get a pretty decent hand. We finally have a supporter, we have compressor, so we should be good here. And we're going first. So my opponent immediately plays a Sudowoodo. Now we have a double puzzle, but I don't think I want to use them yet. So I'm gonna discard 2 Lampents and the N. If it's in here, yes it is. And then I'm going to use N. Yeah. Thank you so much, Sensen, for the good luck wish. Thank you so much. And yeah, Expanded can be really something, huh? Okay, so the Ultra Ball will find us a Night Marcher, which is what we're looking for. and we also get those supporters in the discard pile as well. Kind of want to go for Marshadow. We have no information on my opponent's deck, but I feel like Marshadow could be good, especially if our bench is going to be limited in the later stages of the game, or throughout the whole game rather. If we don't manage to knock out the Sudowoodo, we might as well don't use any space on Night Marchers and just focus on Marshadow. Now we get a pretty okay hand, I would say. We're gonna end up losing one puzzle, but I think that's okay. I'm gonna keep the Guzma in my hand because I will probably want to use it next turn, and off of this computer search I'm gonna go for a compressor. Yeah, expanded is good. I do think it's a fun format. It might not be the healthiest, but I mean, it's very different to me. I've never played in an expanded tournament, so I'm looking forward to playing it this weekend. And so we get 5 more cards, and there's 5 Night Marchers. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it here, see what my opponent benches, and see if we can score a knockout next turn. Probably on a Rockruff, maybe on a Carbink, potentially. Now that I think about it, starting Tauros GX is actually pretty bad because it's a fighting weak Pokemon that can always be an easy target. Oh, but this is not the fighting type deck. Oops. This is actually a fire type deck. Interesting. We see Turtonator, we see Volcanion, we see Oricorio. Okay, so Oricorio and Sudowoodo. My opponent just using all the tech cards. Can he get the turn 1 Kiawe? No, he's gonna go for Sycamore, so that helps us. That definitely helps us. I mean, I could take a knockout on the Oricorio. I could definitely take a knockout on the Oricorio. We see a Bile Compressor, so we are going to see heavy Blacksmith play for sure. Triple Fire, interesting. I think that's a bit too much for sure. Oh, he's gonna use the GX attack, of course. Okay, he goes for the GX attack. Now, we do have an escape rope, but we definitely don't want that. Yeah, we're in trouble. We are definitely in trouble. So 100 damage so far. 100 damage so far. I mean, do I just attack with the Tauros? Is that my play? And try to keep the Marshadow alive? I'm gonna bench the Joltik and Poke Ninja Swag. Yeah, I'm gonna switch to Trevenant after this game. Oh, okay. Thank you for sticking around, Sensen. I didn't realize. I'm a bit confused here as to what to do. I really am a bit confused. Maybe you can take a knockout with Joltik on the Oricorio. Maybe that's the play. And then that way I get rid of that threat. And I will have teammates activated, and then I can probably take a knockout with Marshadow next turn against something. But now he can take a knockout with Shell Trap. So maybe this was not the brightest move. Maybe this was not the brightest move. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe this was not the brightest of moves. There's an energy. If he takes a knockout with Lele, I am okay with that, I think. But we definitely have to take a knockout on a GX with a non-EX. Okay, my opponent just Sycamores away a ton of resources. There's a Fighting Fury Belt. Replaces the stadium as well. Is he gonna take a knockout with Shell Trap or with Lele? Shell Trap would be the correct play, I think, for sure. Yep, and he's gonna do that. Oof. And he even has the Fighting Fury belt. My stadium got replaced. Oof. Yeah, things are not looking good here. Might have committed too much to the Marshadow. And I should have used non-GX attackers here. And saved Marshadow for the end, perhaps? Maybe I shouldn't have even used my my Guzma. Computer search. Wow, heavy Turtonator. That's 3 Turtonators at least. Energy retrieval, interesting. He uses a steam up for whatever reason, even though he didn't need to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So field blower 6. Field blower plus compressor doesn't get me the knockout. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, field blower plus compressor doesn't actually get me the knockout. I'm really torn as to what to do here. Okay, Puzzle of Time is actually a really good top deck. If I teammates, okay, so this is what I do. I teammates for field blower and compressor, right? No, not compressor. I teammates for field blower and Puzzle of Time. And then off of that I get back 2 compressors. Yeah, 2 compressors. And then I bench the Pumpkaboo. I play the field blower, removing the Fighting Fury belt and the stadium, or the floatstone. I think the floatstone is better. And then I compressor once. 3 Night Marchers. This is not great though. How many Night Marchers is that? That's 9. So the Lampent in the prizes is actually hurting us quite a bit. And then we get rid of AC and the other compressor. Well, actually the puzzle, because we can't use another puzzle. And then we take a knockout here for exactly 200 damage. So that extra 10 HP on Turtonator actually being very annoying. Get a Shaman and a compressor out of our prize cards. So hopefully we can find either a Via Seeker to teammates, or yeah, because I'm gonna need the stadium. There's an N, but that's fine. AZ over Azerola, because like think about this. Whenever, like, which of your Night Marchers would you want to pick up with Azerola? Like, when will they ever not just get knocked out in a single turn? And having AC means you can reuse Shaman with it being in the bench, on the bench, and not having any damage. You can pick up the Shaman to prevent it from getting picked off from the bench. It's all those little things that that make a big difference. Okay, so we top deck the Via Seeker. So in this particular deck, AC makes a lot more sense. Acerola is better when you want to keep resources, but AC is here to reuse Shaman, to pick up damaged Tauros, to prevent Shaman from being on the bench for a knockout, things like that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to Via Seeker for teammates for sure. And with the teammates, I'm going to find the DC and the Stadium. Yeah. And then with the Ultra Ball, I'm going to grab Shaman. What I really need is to find Marshadow after the Shaman. Just need Marshadow or Rescue Stretcher. So, well, or both. Both works. Probably want to thin out my deck as much as possible here. So I'm going to Ultra Ball away the Rescue Stretcher and the Choice Band. No, and the Escape Rope. I'm going to find the Marshadow. I have 8 cards left in my deck. I'm going to double check my Night Marchers, that's 10, yep. I'm going to attach the Fighting Fury Belt there, I mean the Choice Band there. I'm going to Battle Compressor. Probably all 3 Sycamore. Yeah, all 3 Sycamore. Well, maybe not all 3 Sycamore, maybe the Special Charge. Actually, like what do I need to win next turn? I just need DC, so yeah. Getting rid of Sycamore is actually pretty bad. I'm gonna get rid of Trainer's Mail, Ultra Ball, and every other card in my deck helps me win the match. I guess I'll get rid of a Sycamore just to do it, but yep, this works. So every single card in my deck lets me win the match. Every single card. Trainer's Mail finds me Sycamore, which finds me double colorless. Well, the prices might change that. Yep, the Lampent and the Fighting Fury Belt. Those are 2 cards that do not help me. Those are 2 cards that do not help me. The Stadium gets replaced, that makes sense. That still doesn't matter, because even if he knocks out my Marshadow, if he knocks out my Marshadow, he has to Lysander, so we have the Via Seeker to find the other energy and win. If he knocks out Pumpkaboo, we can teammates. If he ends us, N is his only out. And there's only 2 cards in my deck that do not help me. So I would need to get Fighting Fury Belt and Lampent off of my top decks, off of an N2-1, in order for us to lose this game. That would be the only way we lose. And there's the Via Seeker, so as long as we don't get incredibly unlucky, we should be good here. Yep, there's the N, makes sense. And as long as we get, like, we have Sycamores, we have Via Seekers, and oof, there's the Fighting Fury Belt, so we could still lose. We could definitely still lose here. So what do we top deck? The Via Seeker, perfect. Absolutely perfect. So there's 6 cards in my deck. I'm just gonna Sycamore and find the DC I need in order to win the match. And there we go. Whew, that was way closer than I expected it to be. And we ended up playing a 7 prize card game, but that's fine. We wanted to just make sure Oricorio would not give my opponent a multiple prize turn for sure. And yeah, do you think Sudowoodo is a good tech regardless of Mega Ray? It does seem disruptive, but I don't think I would add it to any deck that's not super weak to Mega Ray. It seems way too situational, and I think at the top end, many players will just be able to play around it. So I don't think it's that good a tech. Like if you want a tech like that and you don't want to use Sudowoodo, I would rather use Parallel City. But yeah, guys, that covers Night March. So I'm going to be just showcasing the screen, we'll end the video here. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and we're now moving on to Trevenant.